Hey guys, so some of you might know I've been working on a project about human trafficking. It's going to be a film project, and over the last year it's really opened my eyes up to this issue that is actually right under our noses, like in our backyards, and I just think that there's a lack of awareness as well as a lot of misinformation out there about human trafficking and how it looks. So just some quick facts about human trafficking. As an industry, it generates $150 billion per year, and that's actually probably an underestimation because many of these cases obviously go unreported. So the statistics concerning human trafficking are really hard to pinpoint and get precisely because it is such a deeply layered industry. There's so much that happens on the dark web and within these criminal organizations that it's just nearly impossible to get a precise estimate. For example, the current estimation of individuals enslaved in human trafficking around the world is 20.9 million to 40.3 million individuals, and that's a 20 million person discrepancy between those two ranges. So that just kind of goes to show how much we don't know and how much goes undetected, but there are literally millions of people around the world that are enslaved today. And what I've found from working on this project is that it looks completely different in all parts of the world depending on the vulnerability of individuals in that area. So, for example, in Los Angeles, where I live, there's a lot of people that are aspiring to certain careers, and there's people called CEO pimps that come in, take advantage of these vulnerable people, manipulate them, coerce them, threaten them. There's a lot of immigration issues that come into play and people that are threatened with visa issues and deportation. So like I mentioned, it is happening in Los Angeles as well as every single state in the US. Trafficking happens in all 50 states. That's a misconception that I had before working on this project, is that because of the movie Taken, I thought that human trafficking only happened in abroad countries. But like I said, it's happening in all 50 states. And when it does happen abroad, Americans are consumers of going to these brothels where girls have been trafficked. So even when it does happen abroad, Americans do have a fingerprint on perpetuating the issue. So it is very much our issue. And there's just a lot of awareness that I think needs to happen in order for us to move forward with finding the solution, because awareness is the first step to prevention, right? So that's why I'm getting on here to share this. I think especially with the Wayfair story that broke a few weeks ago, there's been a lot of questions, at least people that have asked me, and that particular issue, there's just so much we actually don't know about it. I've consulted with a lot of the experts who are helping me with this project, and there's a lot that we don't know if we can prove either way, but we do know that it's happening in our backyards. And actually, a lot of times when the girls are sold, they're sold for a lot cheaper than the prices that you saw on the Wayfair website. However, the issue with human trafficking is that you're taking a person and you're exploiting them, and you can use them over and over and over again. Whereas drug trafficking, you use it once and then the drug is gone. So that is the issue, and why human trafficking is the fastest growing criminal organization and industry, because unfortunately you can use and exploit a human again and again, and there's just a lot of different layers to it. One example is these boys called Romeo Pimps, where the traffickers will hire these boys. They'll look for girls that are vulnerable, whether that be because they're in the foster care system, they're coming from an abusive family, coming from poverty, they're misfits, whatever it is. All traffickers look for a vulnerability of a certain person, they identify it, and then they exploit that. So what these Romeo Pimps do is they go and entice these girls, show them love, make them think that they're interested in them romantically, and then they manipulate them by threats, sometimes physical force, coercion, into performing commercial sex activities. And then the other traffickers come in and threaten them, manipulate them. It's just extreme psychological manipulation. So that's just one example. And then on the street, you see these girls, and we call them prostitutes, but a lot of those people have not chosen that, and they're actually victims of human trafficking. I also just wanted to share a quick update of how COVID has affected human trafficking. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children did a study. So they looked at the time frame of January 1st through June 30th in 2019, and they compared it to the same time frame in 2020. And in that time, they found that there was a 93% increase in online enticement reports. So that's predators reaching out to children and soliciting them and enticing them for explicit material and to produce that explicit material. 93% increase within a year. And there are so many people online and so many children online that if you have kids, just make sure you are monitoring what they're doing, because the children obviously that are exploited, the ones that are unsupervised, and that has a direct funnel into the issue with human trafficking when it happens in person. Unfortunately, most of the children that are victims come from foster care system, they're runaways, they're homeless, and again, that's what these traffickers do, is they identify the vulnerabilities of individuals and they exploit them and they manipulate them. And the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children also found that there was a 90% increase from 2019 to 2020 in cyber tip reporting, so people just reporting the attempts of these predators. And I know this is really heavy stuff and it's a lot, so I hope I'm not overwhelming anyone, but I'm going to start to use my platforms more to share some of this information as I'm learning it. And like I said, a lot of these facts are with a grain of salt because there's so much that we don't know, but I'm really doing my due diligence to fact check and learn as much as I can, because it is a really overwhelming path to go down as you're trying to educate yourself. And I know this year has been a year of really just wanting to know the truth about things, and for me at least, to get to a place of justice and social justice. And so hoping to help anyone that wants to go on this journey with me in educating ourselves so that we can be a part of the solution, and I'm going to be sharing that with you. So if anyone has any questions, please always feel free to reach out to me, and like I said, I'd be happy to share just my experience and what I've learned so far. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you guys soon.